So this is our first attempt at hot sauce. I'm gonna give it a try.
City Steading.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Jerica, and you're watching City Steading.
So as we said, we're making hot sauce. Fermented hot sauce. Now I want to go on record as saying, this is another one of those videos that we have never done this before. So we thought, hey, you know what? We'll learn along the way. We'll show you some stuff. I do know the basics of how to ferment lacto fermentation, so don't worry about that. And I do know the basics of how to make hot sauce. Obviously, it's really not all that complicated, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. Done a ton of research, and I think we're ready to go. So I got here a whole pile of our jalapenos. I'm also going to use a carrot. Some say you do, some say you don't. I think the carrot adds just a little bit of sweetness. The only worry I have is the carrot is those two colors don't really go well together, so it might turn out brownish. That's my only real worry. Whoops. But I'm also going to use 2 large cloves of garlic, just because we like garlic around here. I'm going to put an onion in it too. Some people do it, some people don't. Now, my understanding of hot sauce is this. Make it how you want. It's that simple. A lot of people say, oh, you should be using habaneros, you should be using this. You should be using whatever peppers you have, or you like, or come conveniently easy to you, or your store has fresh. This is another simple ingredients, not a lot of ingredients. Use the best you can get. That's why we're using, peppers that they were just growing a couple days ago. So everything here is very, very, very fresh. That way we know it's going to come out the best it can be. So the first thing you really want to do is prep your stuff, right? So what I'm going to do, take these jalapenos. The way I like to do it is I put my hand on the natural handle here, the stem of that jalapeno, and I hold it and I cut it at the base, just like that. Now, I'm going to take that, throw it over there, and then cut this in half. Throw it in my bowl. Notice I didn't touch it at all, and I think that's really critical for this. So I'm just doing this because I don't want to get, capsaicin all over my hands. I could be wearing gloves, and I probably should have, but I'm kind of dumb like that. Okay, now that I got all my jalapenos cut up, I want to work on the carrot. Now, they say don't peel the carrot. I thought that was kind of odd. So what I'm going to do is cut it into like small carrot sticks, maybe. I couldn't really find much description as to exactly what to do, so I'm just doing sticks like that, so they're small enough pieces. I would imagine they're going to be, well, they'd be edible, but they're going to be part of the sauce. This is all experimental, folks. Never done this before. Okay, onion. I'm going to cut the ends off. Cut it in half. Get rid of the paper stuff that sticks to me. Someday we're just going to do a montage of me cutting stuff up. Now comes the garlic. With garlic, I don't think you need to be too particular. Just kind of give it a good bash. Get the paper off of it, for one. I have a tendency to cut that stem end off because I just don't like it. And then I'm probably just going to give them a rough chop. Okay, so I got the garlic all chopped up. Just rough chop. It's kind of big pieces. And I'm going to throw all that into this bowl. Now, initially when I started out, I was like, oh, I'll just make a quart. Yeah, I'm using a half-gallon container because I'm pretty sure that's going to fill that. But you also want to add a brine. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have all of our ingredients all cut up. The important aspect next is making the brine. Now, I did some research on this, and the way this works, you can actually do it without salt. It's just not considered a healthy way to do it. What actually happens is the fermentation is done by lactobacillus, which is a bacteria naturally found in most food, most fruits. It's kind of like yeast. It's just everywhere. The water helps to activate it. The salt kills off yeasts and things that we really don't want forming. All your molds and other pathogens that could be in there, we don't really want those to form. So the salt keeps them at bay so that the lactobacillus can do its job. Too much salt kills the lactobacillus too. Not enough salt, other things start to grow. So it's kind of this fine line. For years, I'd always been told that 3% solution of salt was what you do. I'm finding that now they're actually saying 2%. So the way you do a 2% is turn my scale on. I'm gonna put my pitcher on there. Then I'm gonna zero that out. So it's at 0 right now. Then I'm gonna take my water, dump it in so I don't pour it all over the place. Now, I did a ½ gallon of water. I'm not gonna need that much. Thankfully, you can reuse this brine. Like, you can cut up some carrots and do a whole other thing. You can, all kinds of stuff with this. Now, this is 1,395 grams. So I'm gonna call that 1,400 grams, okay? To do a 2% solution of salt for that, what I need is 2% by weight. So that'd be 2 grams per 100. So 2 times 14 for 1,400 is 28 grams of salt. Real simple. If you need a calculator to do that, it's okay. And if you're within a couple grams, it's all good. So that was 1,400 times 2 is 28. Yeah, see, 28. There we go. I'm just gonna dump that right in. Okay, so we got our salt and we have our water, and I need something to mix this with. Let me just grab it. You just want to dissolve it. You can use warm water to dissolve. The problem is then you got to chill it down to add all the veggies in. So I don't know, I just give it a stir. Not that hard. There's all kinds of ways that you can make this easier or harder. Just like everything else we do. You can make it as complicated as you want to. I prefer to make things fairly simple. I am going to pass this off to my lovely assistant though, so that she can stir that and incorporate the salt while I pack the jar. Off camera, there was some question as to whether all of that will fit in this jar. I have my doubts, and if it doesn't, it's okay. I will make another smaller jar. But remember before how I didn't get capsaicin all over my hands? I'm gonna screw that all up right now. But it's okay, I will survive.
So if you have gloves at home, now might be the time to wear them.
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna pay for this later, I just know. Now, if I'm thinking anything like what I do when I do, say, sauerkraut and stuff like that, I might want to pack this in a little bit. I do know that you don't want anything to float above the water line. I also know that because I'm actually the volumizer, this is all going to fit. But I am going to pack it in there a little bit more, and I'm going to fill it right up to the top so that, oh yeah, look at that. It all fits in there. That worked. Yeah. This is all going to get blended up at a later date, so breaking them a little bit, really not so much of a problem.
In case you're wondering if those peppers are potent,
You can smell them.
So the reason why my eyes are irritated might actually not be the peppers, but the onions. I am really sensitive to the gases emitted by onions.
Sulfur. Yeah.
My eyes do not like them.
That's why I usually do the cutting of the onions while she's in another room. This smells awesome, by the way. It just really does. If you like jalapenos and you like peppers, this is amazing. Okay, so how are we doing on that brine?
I think we're stirred.
Okay. Next comes the most complicated thing you have to do in this entire recipe. You watching?
I'm watching.
I was asking that. This is absolutely critical. What you want to do, make sure everything's submerged. That's really all I'm doing here. So I'm pouring it in. You're going to get little air pockets in there. I'm going to shake this up just a bit. I'm going to make sure that it goes all the way to the top. Well, not the top. What we might do is grab one of our pickle pebbles and put that in there. What this is a pickle pebble. It's a fermentation weight. Okay, there's a lot of different brands. We actually have these in our store. This one has a little handle in it, which I tend to like. It's not quite the size of the opening of the jar, but that's okay because I'm just going to put it in there and push down. The idea is to hold as much under it as possible, okay? Because this has to ferment. Now I'm going to put the lid on. Crank that down a little bit. And then I'm going to use an airlock. Now, if you've seen any of our brewing videos, you know what an airlock is. You know how much they are. They're $2. Usually. Some people find them cheaper. Now I'm going to put a little bit of spirits in this. Not that one, because that's good. See this one here? We bought this bottle just for doing stuff like this with. We don't actually drink this stuff. But what you want to do is put some sort of a spirit in here or sanitizer fluid, things like that. Because what'll happen is bugs will want to get into your ferment. And by bugs, I mean both the literal and figurative, bacteria and real ones. It's so much in this maybe for the fruit flies, but they will still try. So you want to have an airlock. The way this works, this is a 3-piece airlock, not really my favorite, but for fermentations it's perfectly fine. Air will be coming out of this, CO2, okay? As the lactobacillus goes to work, it's going to produce extra gases. Those gases come up, they go in here, they push the little thing up, they escape. It's a one-way trip. Nothing's coming back in. And if a bug does get in there, pretty sure that vodka is going to kill them. If it doesn't kill them, it'll dissuade them because this stuff doesn't taste real good. I'm going to just stick that airlock in there as best I can. Might have to...
You want to get a good seal, but you don't want to push it down so far that it actually goes into the solution. And I think
I got too much in here.
pickle pebble is interfering.
I was overzealous in my addition of brine. And I'm overzealous in my basting of said brine. It wouldn't be a City Steading video if I didn't make a mess. That's all I have to say about that. Get in there. My hands are clean, by the way. Remember, I washed them right after doing the peppers. Now, I'm going to put that to the side just a little bit, and I know some of my stuff is poking out here. What can happen along the way is you may see some mold form, okay? If you do, it's okay. Just grab a spoon and do like you do for making stocks. Just take the scum out, okay? That's exactly what you want to do, is just get rid of that. Because it'll spread and it can make it worse. But it's not going to kill your fermentation. It's just sitting on top, okay? It won't actually get inside there unless you let it go for far too long. Now, the next question. How long does this ferment for? I mean, basically, this is just going to sit out, right? I'm going to put this under my desk, most likely, the desk of fermentation. And it's going to sit there for, some recipes called for a week. Doesn't sound like much to me. I saw there's some people that are doing like 40 days. I'm like, wow, that's some serious. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. I think 2 weeks. I think that's a good start. So we will see you in about 2 weeks. So it's been about 2 weeks, and here we are. Here is our fermentation. It's been going a little bit. There's been some bubbles in there, that kind of thing. The next step is we get it out of there, discard the brine. You don't want that. It's basically just salt water. Not really all that cool. So we're going to discard the brine. We're going to rinse this stuff off. Then we're going to put it into a blender. But you're going to see all that in just a few minutes.
We have seen people mention reusing the brine.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to. It's salt water. I got more salt.
We're gonna dump ours.
We're gonna be wasteful city steaders today. But I don't have an immediate use for it, and I don't really want to store it. So anyway, we'll be back in a minute. So after draining, basically, I just dumped them out through a colander. Here's our peppers. Here's what they look like. They're all a little bit muted in color. The green isn't quite as vibrant and things like that. And we're gonna get ready to. So we got our handy dandy red blender handy, and I have to get all this into there. I'm gonna make a mess of this. I just know it. I'm hoping to be able to do this all in one shot, but if you have to do batches, do batches. We don't have apparently the biggest blender in the world. All right, I probably overfilled the blender. We're gonna find out real quick. I don't use this thing very often. Where's Pulse? This one. Ready? Yep. It's gonna be one of those days.
After our hummus debacle, I asked him if he wanted to use the food processor.
This is gonna take a while. Now, it's been going for a couple minutes. I just want to check the consistency of it. Because, you know, as we said, we've never made this before, but I know hot sauce is supposed to be like sauce. This is kind of like blended up jalapenos, really. I mean, it doesn't it doesn't look like a sauce to me. It smells powerful.
I was coughing during his procedure because every once in a while the exhaust was kind of aiming in my direction, and I would inhale deeply, and it's like, oh.
It's spicy. You don't want to try this. Actually, maybe you do. I don't know. What I am going to do, though, just to help a little bit, it's not as liquidous as I would like. Now, I know I'm supposed to take a pH reading, and 3.4 is your target pH. If it's at about there, it's more or less shelf-stable if you put it in a jar. It won't go bad. Bacteria really don't like that. So I'm going to add a little bit of white vinegar to this, mostly because I want to change the texture. It's very gloopy and thick right now. I want it to be a little bit more sauce-like and liquidy. So the exact amount that I'm going to add, good question. I really don't know. I'm going to say it's probably going to be half a cup or so. Yeah, that's about half a cup. And now we blend. Again. Stop that for a sec. I want to say something at this point. We got it to work a lot better. Before it was like stopping, it'd get a void, and then it would start again. And I really wanted it to be more of a liquidous sauce. So we added the vinegar in, and now we're over blending this because everything that I've seen is people blend it longer than you think you should. They're kind of just making it a liquid. So that's why we're still going, and it's getting there. It's getting really, really close.
We've even seen some people that have these really cool devices that you put like a marble or something in a beaker, and then there's a spinning device with a
they
magnet
use that
underneath,
for yeast starters too.
and it just goes for days, and we don't have one of those.
So we're just gonna blend the heck out of it. And then oh wow, it smells so good though. I could totally see putting this on tacos and burritos and whatnot. So you can see the consistency that this is. Though that may look like guacamole, that is not guacamole. Trust me, that will burn your face off if you were to bite into that like that. So it's getting really close. There's still a couple of chunky things in there, so I'm just gonna blend it some more. Okay, that's about as much as I care to do. I mean, we could keep going all day. But what I want to do is take its pH measurement, okay? I got one of these pH meters a while back because when I was getting into brewing, everybody said, you need to check your pH all the time. I think I've actually used this twice, and both times it was for checking vinegar. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to test this. Hopefully not ruin the pH meter in the process. Just gonna stick the probe right in there. It's supposed to take like a minute or two. It seems to be stuck somewhere around 3.7 pH to me. That's not quite acidic enough to be shelf stable for me. So I'm gonna take this out, rinse it. We're gonna add a little bit more vinegar. So that's about another half cup. Derek is gonna blend this. I'm gonna go rinse this guy. Stop. Okay, I'm gonna turn this guy on. Stick it in again. See what we get. I went a lot faster to 3.7 this time. Looks like we're at 3.6. Okay, wash, rinse, and repeat. We're gonna add a little bit more vinegar, and we're going to blend it one more time. Again, guys, we're learning as we go here. We've never done this before. But I know I don't want to make something that's gonna go bad sitting on the shelf. So. All right, I'm hoping this is done because our blender's just about full. So I'm gonna put this guy in here. 3.7, 3.6. It's gotta be lower than 3.6. 3.5. Will it do it? 3.4. All right, cool. So it hit 3.4 pH, which means no bacteria is really gonna wanna live in this at this point. So we can bottle this, it's not changing either. Look at that. So it took, looks like it took pretty close to 2 cups of vinegar added to this to get it there. And it's not changing, it's still at 3.4. So awesome. I'm just gonna set this to the side. Actually, I'm gonna go rinse this off. And now we bottle. Which is interesting because I looked at that jar and went, oh yeah, by the time we blend that up, we'll have about, this much. I think I was a little off. but you know what, we're just gonna put it in one bottle and show you and make it all pretty. And then we'll bottle the rest of it later, at another time. All right, so. Here goes. So, we got this lovely bottle of hot sauce now. All you gotta do is put a label on there. Something like Brian's Abominable Sauce, or... I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. But I do know that this is more hot sauce than we will consume in probably a year. So you know what? Colby, if you're watching, you're probably gonna see this in the near future. Colby would be her brother. He likes hot sauce. He watched me put hot sauce on something one time and said, please don't eat that.
And actually,
Yeah,
he said, please don't put that
please
in
don't
your
put
mouth.
that in your mouth. It really wasn't that hot. Anyway, this hot sauce should be shelf stable at room temperature for many months. This is not the kind of thing that you have to can or pressure or anything like that. The acidity in this alone makes it very shelf stable. I mean, think about it. It's hot. It's uncomfortable to eat. I would imagine that is true for pretty much all living things. Anyway, for our first foray into hot sauce, I thought this came out pretty good. It actually tasted all right. It's got some jalapeno flavor. I think it came out nice. We'll find out later. Maybe we'll put it on something. I don't know today, but something. The recipe will be in the description. All the quantities as best I can approximate what I did. And thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you like this video, please give us a like. If you want to see more of what we do, subscribe to our channel. And you know what? Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
So, you saw me taste this. I might have acted a little bit. But in all honesty, this came out really nice. It's got a good jalapeno flavor to it. The pepper comes out really nice. It's not just heat. It's hot. Scale of 1 to 10, it's not the hottest thing I've ever had. It's probably like a 7, but it adds a nice backbone of heat. It's got beautiful pepper flavor. The sweetness of the carrots and the onions and even the garlic comes through just that little bit. It rounds it out. This would not be like the hottest hot sauce you've ever had, but this would be great on almost anything that you'd want to put a hot sauce on and make it spicy.